Good morning, everyone. It's right at 10 o'clock this morning, and we'll give those who may be on their way a few minutes to sort of readjust and come in as needed. Um, for those who do not know me, my name is John Evans. I'm the Associate Director of Student Life here at the Community College System. I started in late April, and since then, we've been hosting these webinars once a month starting this fall, and it's something that I hope we can continue moving forward as we go along. If you haven't used this system before, there is a way to chat with other members in the audience as well as ask questions as needed. So you feel free, if a question comes along that you have and you would like to answer that, please make sure you do so either via mic or in the chat box, and I'll make sure it is covered. I'll be running through a quick presentation this morning, and as we go along, I will make sure that I pause enough so that individuals can maybe ask questions if they have some as we move along. I have added Mr. Umberger as a presenter. He'll be giving an update on the N4CSGA stuff, but as I begin every broadcast, I'd like to say, as we get closer to the end of the semester, thank you for all you do. We know October is a crazy month for everyone, especially with conferences and travel, fall breaks, and other obligations that may be going on. And so thank you for all the hard work that you do for our students. And we'll also get into some conversations about what's taking place sort of behind the scenes and as it relates to Hurricane Matthew and what that has done to a number of our colleges for the fall. And so we'll get to that in a moment. Again, the areas of student life that sort of fall under this box are here on the screen, as you see, and we will make sure that we at least try to hit some tidbits of each of these as we go along. The first thing I'd like to announce is a staffing change, actually. So you'll see here we now have a new supervisor, Dr. James Kelly. He's going to be joining the system office in November. He comes to us from Randolph Community College, where he serves as the Vice President for Student Services at Randolph. And so we're excited to have him come take over and lead our division, and hopefully we will be doing great things as we continue our outreach to colleges in the areas of student services, student life, etc. So that's a really exciting announcement. If you happen to have a relationship with Dr. Kelly, or you see him at a number of events as we move forward to his beginning, make sure you congratulate him and thank him for his service. So this is the agenda for today, so I'll give you some updates as some of you have had an opportunity to review the memo that I sent out today. You will see that there have been some ongoing conversations on how colleges are beginning to assess their damages and what they're going to do in terms of continue the remainder of the semester. We'll give Mr. Umberger will give some updates. I'll also talk about some state board items from the state board meeting this evening or this weekend that I think are very interesting for folks in our corner of the world, and we'll continue with any questions that you all may have as we go along. First, I'd like to just start out with just a quick moment of silence for all those who may be affected, not only in our state or in our system. And so I will just pause for a moment. All right. So as you received in the memo, there have been 24 counties that have been labeled as approved for federal disaster aid, meaning that there was significant damage to the county and residents in the county. And of those counties, these are the colleges that are affected by either your residents, students, faculty, or staff, or the physical institution itself. And so, as you can see, most of them are east of Raleigh. There are a few colleges like Central Carolina who sort of southwest of Raleigh that also had damage not only to their county and whether it be roadways, trees, power, water supplies, etc. And so we'll get as we continue to discuss what's going to be taking place. I'll notify you what's been happening in terms of conversations back and forth sort of behind the scenes. So as you know, most colleges were immediately closed the week before or a few days before the hurricane struck, and most colleges, I think by the last Friday, had reopened their doors. However, we do have a handful of colleges that still will not be open until next week, and that may be because of physical damage to the building, that may be because physical damage to the roadways, and maybe power. So we have a number of colleges that are still in that boat, and we don't have a full assessment of what's been how bad the damage is, the overall impact on students, faculty, and staff. If people have lost their homes, we've been getting some of those reports in here, but we still don't know the full extent of from the 24 colleges, just because not all the colleges have reopened their doors for operations to sort of figure out how their community has been affected. Again, campus facilities, they're assessing, maybe flood damage, rain damage, parking lots down, trees, power, access to water, etc. And so, there have been a number of things that colleges are sort of quickly moving on the ground to figure out what to do and how to adjust. So you can see by the memo, there have been some conversations sort of going on behind the scenes, and I apologize that the memo didn't get sent to this listserv earlier. And it's one thing I want to make sure that we're getting messages out there to not only the top administrators, but the boots on the ground, so to speak. But colleges are assessing the needs, and so the presidents, vice presidents, the maintenance facility staff, they are assessing what their needs are. I know as an administrator is mostly in student services return, they're trying to assess what students need in order to sustain, especially if someone may have lost their home or damaged property, or their car may be flooded and therefore they don't have transportation to or from the college. And so I know a number of institutions are working to establish and reestablish operations to help people have a sense of normalcy once again. There are a number of conversations dealing with how do campuses continue to complete the semester successfully, and ways to complete instruction should the college choose to do so, or the student choose to do so, and ways that the college can help a student not only meet their academic learning needs, but also their personal needs as they go along. And then we'll also briefly talk about some of the fundraising efforts that are going to be taking place. Some I have a little more insight to at this time. Some I don't quite have all the information yet, just because we're still in the early stages of planning and working things out. So if you had an opportunity to read over the memo, you know that colleges sort of have the freedom to determine how they wish to make up instructional time. And so alternate hybrid online instruction is an opportunity for colleges to do, also adding additional time to sort of the current course schedule. So instead of a 55-minute course, maybe extending that time. Instead of an hour and 30-minute course, maybe extending that time as well to try to make up some of the lost time. Colleges can also cancel any breaks going forward. So maybe you had a Thanksgiving break or any of those holidays. Maybe you extend the semester towards the end as we get closer to the holidays. And so I imagine that colleges are going to figure out what works for their particular corner of the world and make decisions as needed for them. There's been discussion on the impact on FTE and enrollment and how that affects colleges moving forward. And so I think as the board meets this weekend, they're going to put forth some legislative agenda items to say, even if we, obviously we we didn't foresee a hurricane and its potential impact on FTE, but to allow to keep our budget the same as if it were sort of a flat enrollment year, as opposed to decrease that colleges may experience due to, facilities maybe not being able to fully open, or just decreasing enrollment because the community itself is affected and damaged. The system office doesn't have authority to offer a refund in tuition fees for students not completing due to emergency circumstances. I think you'll see that in the memo, and I can show you where some of that language is in a state board code. But really, this is going to be an institution's. They sort of have the autonomy to decide how they wish to deal with this particular issue. If a student can't continue their education, maybe it's an incomplete, maybe it's a withdrawal, or institutions are sort of given the power to make these determinations as to what needs to take place. And I imagine that for many institutions it will be on a case-by-case basis. So there are some fundraising efforts that are sort of in the beginning stages of planning, and more information will be coming forth shortly. The system office has worked with the N4CSGA to help coordinate a funding drive for colleges to receive aid that are affected. And so right now we are in the stage of talking to the 24 colleges that have been negatively affected to see what their needs are, whether it be supplies, food, water, what have you. And then once we have a clearer assessment of what those needs are, planning fundraisers or drives to help colleges receive assistance. I think that the folks here at the system office feel that it's usually easier to transfer funds between institutions, and so funding drives are the primary vehicle for which I think the effort will take place. And so it would be the N4C SGA board would send out a letter to all 58 SGAs saying we have colleges that are in need. If you have time and effort, will you please host a funding drive, and that that the donations collected from their particular institution be sent to colleges that are in need in our system. Additionally, you'll see here that some small business centers are helping local businesses sort of get back on their feet if a business had damage to their particular college. So if you know students who have small businesses, make sure they are also reaching out to not only the local disaster efforts in their community, but also the small business center associated with their community college, because there may be some additional support they can receive. All right. Now, with that, I want to see, does anyone have any questions at this moment in time? Feel free to either type them in the address box or the question box, and we will go from there. And if not, I will turn it over to Mr. Umberger in a few minutes, and he can give some updates on the N4C SGA.
JJ, I do want to ask or say something about the fundraising efforts. We do need to figure out what exactly the money will be going to, who the money will be going to, and I'm sure you guys at the system office are working on that. But I have spoken with a couple of advisors who do want to know what we're doing to help the other schools, but I think more specifically where the money's going and what the money's going to be used for. Because I think from previous experiences, with natural disasters, when people give money, they think they're giving their money and it's going to help do this, and then they find out later with their money that they donated didn't exactly go where they had anticipated it going. So I think one of the things we definitely need to make sure, and probably before schools will even start fundraisers to raise money, is they need to know, okay, is this money going to go specifically to Beaufort County Community College or Edgecombe, and is it going to buy books, or is it going to buy food, and so we need to get some more details on this. I think for the colleges before they actually start, their individual fundraising efforts. So when they're asking people for money, they can say, "Hey, we're Durham Tech, and we're raising money for Carteret Community College to help students buy books that were lost, when their homes were damaged during Hurricane Matthew or whatever." So.
Gotcha. I do have some of those answers, and Mr. Bryson, I'll answer your question in a moment. And so I think the primary goal now is for colleges to raise funds and then donate those to the affected college's foundation in an emergency fund tag. And, for at well, when I was at ACC, emergency funds could be used to assist anyone with, different types of emergencies. And so donations can be specifically marked for hurricane relief, or relief for students, or relief for faculty and staff, or, relief for, to repurchase textbooks or someone's laptop that may be destroyed. And so colleges will the colleges raising money can make some specific determinations as to what requirements they'd like to put in place for money being donated. But generally speaking, I think the consensus here has been for colleges to raise money, tag it for hurricane relief in the receiving college's emergency fund, and therefore, as the students are approaching that particular college with requests or need of aid, then the college can determine the process on how students and faculty and staff are receiving that aid. For colleges unable to host fundraising drive, we do know that there are some counties that have emergency needs for water, food, and clothing. I just don't have the specifics as to which colleges yet, but I do know that there are some colleges who will have needs of students, faculty, and staff that need other items, just not monetary donations. And so as we receive that information, I'll make sure it's shared out to everyone, and we'll try to do our best to make sure that is communicated to everyone out there as possible. I'm reading a question here. The question on the floor says, should we coordinate with you as to which schools we are fundraising for, as in if everyone fundraises for Carteret, what happens to Lenore? Makes sense? Yes. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Cross, for that question. So it was decided here to, so for example, yesterday when the memo went out to colleges presidents, the memo I sent with this particular webinar invitation, I sent a specific memo to the 24 colleges, to their presidents, vice president, student services, and someone in their foundation to give me information on how they wish to receive donations, what type of donations they need, and if there's an online portal for financial donations, what is that, and to make that publicly available. So I have some of that information. And in order to sort of be equitable, we are going to allow colleges to establish relationships between, say, College A and College B, and not be the divvier of money here at the system office. So, for example, if Mr. Umberger, calls up to Lenore and wants to donate to Lenore, but maybe someone else is also donating to Lenore, that hopefully the receiving institution can say that need has already been met, and we need X or Z, as opposed to sending more of Y. And we had some beginning conversations on whether money should come to the system office and then be filtered out, but it was it was seen as sort of an extra step or extra set of hands instead of getting help immediately quickest to the people that need it. So instead of sending it, collecting money at your institution, then sending it to your foundation, then sending it to the system office, then sending it to another college, it's giving colleges to say, these are the colleges that need help. Here are the ways they need assistance. Contact them, and then sort of do a direct one-to-one transaction. And so that's sort of the reason why it's sort of organized in this manner. And I'm still trying, like I said, we're still in the early phases. I'm still in the gathering phase. We have colleges that haven't even returned a phone call just because they haven't been operating yet. So in terms of, access to email or what have you, we're still in the, we don't even know what's going on at this particular institution. So at whatever information I receive, I'll make sure that I share it, and it will either be via email. We may be putting up a web page to put this information out and have it sort of in a space that's accessible 24/7. Just right now, we're still in the gathering phase, if that makes sense. Any other questions? Awesome. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Umberger. Mr. Umberger, I do have a few slides to help you with some talking points, so we'll jump along to some conference updates.
Now I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Thank you, JJ. Yeah, conference is still on. I know there has been some concerns with folks as to whether or not conference would still take place. We have contacted the DoubleTree at Atlantic Beach. The hotel did not sustain any damage during the hurricane. Basically, they just lost power during the hurricane, and they are ready for us and looking forward to having us come in on October 28th through the 30th. Right now, I'm still trying to get a hold of some schools because I have not received registrations, and those schools obviously are schools in the east who were affected by the hurricane and who were closed, and of course their business offices unable to get checks out. But at this point in time, based on my head count, we have 209 delegates registered, 53 advisors, and 73 guests, for a total of 269 people. Roughly, I think we've got 37 to 38 schools who are registered for the conference. And so we're very excited and looking forward to that. And you see the contests that are listed on here. We've got the lip sync battle, which will take place Friday night, and that's either individual or group from your school. We're going to have a costume contest on Saturday night, and that'll be scariest, funniest, or group. If your whole SGA or a group of your students wants to do the group contest, they can do that. And then, of course, the pumpkin carving contest in 3 categories for that. And we just ask that pumpkins be turned in on Friday before the start of the business meeting on Friday night. And then we are doing a donation drive. Executive Board met this past Saturday, and I think what we've decided, and I've not heard back from our extramural, intramural chair, right now we're collecting money for breast cancer because October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we've asked people to wear pink on Friday to the conference, and we'll be having a competition to see who can raise the most money, which division can raise the most money for breast cancer. But there was talk at the meeting on Saturday as to whether or not we could split the money that was raised. So, for instance, if we raised $1,000 for breast cancer, then donating half of that to Susan G. Komen and then the other half to hurricane relief. So we are still trying to finalize that, and I get am I unmuted? Mute? Oh, okay. If the money's all going to go to breast cancer, or if it's all going to go to hurricane relief, or if we're going to split it between the 2 organizations, because obviously when we sent out the initial email, we didn't know that Matthew was going to do as much damage as it did on the east. So, like I said, and the extramural intramural chair is also going to talk with. We're going to have a representative, I believe, from the American Cancer Society who will be at conference, to ask her, if she's okay with us either splitting the money or if we can donate all the money to hurricane relief. So we'll update everybody probably once they get to conference so that everybody knows where the money is going to. So, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Barb Meidel and I have been, like I said, working together, trying to finalize the conference booklet and hopefully get that off today so it can be printed. As JJ's just pulled up, we do have conference tracks this year. This is something new, and it's based off the previous evaluations that we have received from students and advisors at conference. So the workshops that begin on Friday, there will be one leadership workshop, a workshop geared towards student activities, and then one geared towards civic engagement / politics, governance, that type thing. Mary Shuping with the system office will be there to present. She's doing 2 of the workshops on civic engagement, talking to students about how they can talk to the legislatures, and she's also going to talk about what the priorities are for the 2017 year in the legislature, and what the presidents are working on as their priorities with the legislature as well. And then leadership, we're happy to announce that we will have Phil Eccles. He will be our keynote speaker on Friday at the opening, and then he will be doing 2 of the student leadership workshops. He will be doing a workshop for students on Friday and then another one on Saturday. And then, of course, we'll have some workshops that engage students with activities and how to plan activities on their campus and give them ideas for that. Also, students going through the conference tracks, if they attend 3 out of 3 of the workshops, when they leave, we will give their advisor a certificate showing that they completed 3 of the workshops, and they can, I guess put that on their resume or what have you. And then cultural enrichment, I did send out an email to advisors, thanks to Nathan Branson at Carteret Community College. They compiled a list of eating places in the area where people can go and eat, and also an idea for cultural enrichment activities on Saturday. So thanks to Nathan and them for putting that together.
So we do have a few questions on the floor.
And I can't see the questions. How
So,
do I see the questions?
I'll have to give you privileges in a second. One question
Okay.
says, will we send out a draft agenda for the conference? Mr. Glenn, there actually is a draft agenda. It is on the N4CSGA.net website, and I believe Mr. Umberger also emailed that to everyone as well.
And actually, I can answer that. Barb and I, like I said, are working on finalizing the conference program. So, Bo, as soon as we have that done today, I will send out all the advisors an updated agenda as to what's going on at the conference.
Mr. Bryson asked, will advisors receive an electronic copy of the conference booklet?
If y'all want it, yeah, we can send you the whole thing because, like I said, we're going to finalize that today. So to answer Shane's question, yes, I will send that out to everybody so you have the entire conference booklet.
Gotcha. And Ms. Jacques asked, have we thought about coordinating a fundraising drive at conference, not just for cash, but maybe for items? And I know that, without having a specific destination of where those items should go, I think it may be best to keep it financial, but, something that, definitely the board can talk about and review, but it's probably just in terms of, trying to have colleges organize something last minute or bring cases of bottled water or what have you. We do need to, have a logistical plan for some of those items once they are received. So thank you for those questions. And the last question here was, will we be emailing out the N4C SGA budget before conference, or will we discuss it at conference?
probably be discussing it at conference because our treasurer is relatively new, and so we'll give an update at the finance committee at conference on the N4CSGA budget.
Gotcha. Thank you much. If you, I guess while we have a moment, your screen should have the N4CSGA website. If you click this red button here at the top, I put all of the contests and the draft agenda on forms and documents page, but you can also access information on the conference hotel and all that stuff on the conferences and travel page of the N4CSGA.net website as well, just so you know.
Oh, JJ?
Yes.
Let me also say that if any schools are planning on participating in either the lip sync battle or the costume contest, I believe the deadline for that is this Friday. So if your students are planning on participating in that, if you could please get that in, email it to me on Friday. I will not be in the office on Friday because the Student Leadership Development Program mini session is this weekend in Raleigh. But I will then get those on Monday so we can compile the list of songs for the DJ for the lip sync battle, and then know who's participating in the costume contest. I will say this, with recent events and especially schools in the East having been closed for a week, we will be flexible. We will work with schools if your students are wishing to participate, but for whatever reason we don't get the information in time. Just realize that with the DJ, if he does not have the song that your group is planning on lip syncing to, then you may have to plan, doing a song that he has the actual music to. So just keep that in mind.
I did try to find some travel updates for everyone, and I did. These are from DOT. This ncdot.gov/TIMS website will help colleges sort of map out their travel plans if they're trying to confirm roads that are open and closed. Most of the major highways are open. I know 70 does have some damage still, and so if you need to map out your specific travel from sort of college, from college A to the conference travel site, please make sure you check that website in order to make sure that your route that you have mapped out is safe. Next, I'm going to jump to the State Board of Community College updates or items that I think people may find interesting, and so I'll start with those on the Finance Committee. You'll see here for the community college grant last year, about 26,000 students received community college grants, and funding was divvied out for there. And so the community college grants are targeted for students who receive little or no Pell assistance and are below the Hope Scholarship tax credit threshold. And also in the report, it says the average award for those particular students was about $550, and so we are definitely serving a number of students through those fiscal awards that we're making. The Target Assistance Grant, which is roughly $400,000, and that went to about 53 institutions. These funds are for students who do not qualify for need-based assistance but enroll in low enrollment programs that prepare students for high demand occupations. And these funds are also for students with disabilities who have been referred to the community college by Voc Rehab and other of those social services. And so you'll see funding was given to help students obtain both credit and non-credit course enrollment. And then lastly, students enrolled in less than half time, about 94,000 was given to about approximately 35 institutions. And the report for this is actually on the system website. And so I'll show folks how to get to some of these system items right here. And so on the system website, it should look something like this. There are usually two ways to get to state board minutes and state board agenda items. They usually put them in this news column right here at the top of the screen. But also sort of down here at the bottom, it has this State Board of Community College. You can look at old agenda items as well as the current agenda. If you click on the date, it will take you to the next page, and where all the different committees are here. And so the Finance Committee 3, FC3 refers to Finance Committee Agenda Item 3. And this is how you can read some of the additional summaries and reports that are going along. And so one of the more interesting reports is actually Agenda Item 4. It's the budget, the draft, keyword is draft, budget priorities for the new budget cycle. And so the three main agenda items are develop a highly skilled workforce pipeline, create accessible and affordable education, and strengthen community college foundations through some additional programming and funding. If you look under the accessible and affordable education, you'll see that there is a proposed transfer, college transfer incentive for students who enroll in a 2-year AA or AS program complete. There is a discussed $5,000 incentive for students to do that, to complete, and then use that money to enroll at the secondary institution once they finish their transfer degree. If you would like to see the whole proposal in all its color and glory, it's under the FC4 right here, 2017 budget priorities. And it sort of goes into more detail on the legislative priorities, things that they are trying to do, and then it talks about budget stabilization, faculty and staff salary raises, etc. And so these will be discussed and hopefully firmed at the state board meeting this weekend. And once they are finalized, I'll make sure I send this document and whatever attached documentation along with it for you as well. But there are some interesting initiatives that are taking place or being discussed, and so I definitely wanted you all to be in the know for some of those particular items. Additionally, FC7, if you're just curious like me and you want to know your college's budget and how it operates in terms of institutional support, curriculum, Con Ed, academic support, and student support, the operating budgets for the 16-17 year have been finalized and have been posted on the website. And so these are updated as of the 17th, and so they are probably the most up-to-date version, unless they have a revised version that they submit for the board this weekend. And so make sure you check out those documents as well if the budget just interests you. All right. I know a number of colleges are receiving funds to participate in the space grant, and so this is sort of a year-long project that culminates in this the North Carolina Science Festival in April, where these colleges, along with other businesses and industries, compete to create atmosphere balloons or high altitude balloons that they'll send up into space, take some photography, and then hopefully land safely back at Earth. And this is sort of a collaboration between business industry, both 2-year and 4-year, to promote STEM awareness and sort of make STEM a practical, fun, applicable field for many of our students. And so the colleges that will receive funding here are Catawba Valley, Durham, Southwestern, Craven, Pitt, Rowan Cabarrus, and Edgecombe. And so we hope they have fun during this particular experience. And if you would like to participate in this particular experience, Matt Meyer is the staff member here who sort of coordinates this particular program. And so I know other colleges have participated in the past, and I think they've enjoyed and had some fun with that. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to continue that partnership. I always like to include a did you know slide, just some random tidbits of information that are out there. So Dr. Kelly his first day with us at System Office will be November 1st. We did send 3 delegations to the American Student Government Association Conference. So there was a delegation from CPCC, a delegation from the N4CSGA board, as well as Central Carolina. And so if you want to get some impressions or some resources and documents that were shared during that particular conference, please make sure you outreach to those three delegations. If you are nominating someone, or if you have been nominated for, say, the Staff Member of the Year award, those processes have been extended to this Friday, and so make sure you get those applications if you were in the process of doing that. Craven received just a wonderful grant to continue to strengthen some of the programming they're doing with our student population, and so we want to give kudos to the folks at Craven for the hard work. They received $1.74 million from the Department of Education to continue some student success work, so that's really, really great. As I mentioned before on our last conference call, there have been 21 presidential changes since January 1st, 2015, and 2 more have been announced. Central Piedmont Community College will bring on a new president, as well as Coastal Carolina will bring on a new president. I believe these will take place as the 2 current presidents retire. So I know one will finish out the end of the year, and I'm not quite sure when the transition for the other one is, but all of these are officially announced, and they are on sort of the news center of the system office website if you are just curious. For those that have students in SLDP, the mini session is still going on. I sent a notification to students last evening just to remind them our schedule at what time we'll be beginning. So thank you for trusting me with trusting us with your students for this particular weekend. It is at the Crabtree Marriott, and so it's just a one night. All accommodations have been taken care of, and so all the student needs to do is get there safely and get home safely, and hopefully we'll have some fun and some learning along the way. If you're able to attend the system conference evaluation and you have not completed the survey, please do so. We know a number of colleges and conference sessions, or we know a number of conference sessions either had to be canceled or rescheduled due to the hurricane coming like right as the conference was beginning, but definitely we still want to hear your feedback, and so it's a fairly easy URL to remember: surveymonkey.com/r/NCCCS-eval. Make sure you complete that evaluation for us and give us your feedback. I will tell you one of the things I included in my particular evaluation, and my challenge to everyone on this call, and please extend this to your cohorts, is that I would like to see more student life geared sessions at our system conference. Traditionally this conference was born out of a sort of a faculty or teaching conference to pass along best practices, but I know, as I'm sure as we all know, that the student life, student engagement side of the house is just as important to students persisting and engaging to a successful completion of a degree or transferring. And so we know we are vital in the student experience of everyone on our campus. And so I definitely challenge you all to begin planning sessions, begin doing small research projects, or maybe evaluation projects of sort of best practices that you've put together, so that we can begin offering more student life sessions at the system conference, because I know it is important. For those that want to continue remaining in contact with Dr. Kim Sepich, she has shared her email there at Valencia College. She is safe. She's started, obviously she's transitioned to Florida right after a hurricane as well, so they're dealing with some of those same issues, but her contact information is here, and she said she would love to hear from anyone and just to maintain contact with folks in our system. All right. Lastly, I know life has been crazy, but I'm still on this. I'm still seeking a list of vendors that colleges utilize for their campus events. And both local, regional, and national. And I will resend out the link with the video for this particular conference call, just saying, please take, a few minutes of your time. I think there's only four or five questions on vendors you would recommend, and we'll make sure that the information is publicly or widely accessible for others as we go along to ensure that people seeking resources or seeking new acts or events on campus, we'll give them an opportunity to share and have those. With that, that's all we have in terms of a planned agenda, and so we always like to open the floor up for any questions that you have. And so if you have a question, make sure you sort of jump in and ask it, and we will go from there. I do have one question that was posed to me, and I do have a definitive answer, so I'll ask this question first. This question came from a college on the Eastern Seaboard who was negatively affected by Hurricane Matthew, so they requested to take their money from their fall festival and put that towards their emergency fund, and wanted to know, was that a permissible expense based on the the state board code and guidelines? That answer is yes, but I think the overwhelming since this is a wonderful gesture, they just want to make sure that this is a student gesture, right? So not from a faculty member or administrator pressuring students to do this type of gesture. Something of this nature should be student driven. But it is okay, it is permissible, it just needs to be student driven. And I think it's a wonderful way to support students who may be in need for this particular institution, and I'm pretty excited they're going to do it. So with that, that's the only question that I received sort of within the last few days. If anybody has any other questions or any other topics they'd like to discuss, feel free to throw them to the floor, and we will go from there.
JJ?
Yes.
I do have a correction. Thanks to Mr. Bryson at Randolph for keeping me on my toes. That's why he was the senior advisor before me on the N4C. The deadline for getting your lip sync battle and costume contest information is Tuesday, October 25th. So I stand corrected. It is not this Friday the 21st. It is next Tuesday, October the 25th. So thank you, Shane, for texting me and correcting me.
Cool. Any questions, anything anybody want to talk about, anything going well in our system? Anybody have any sort of highs? Any highs? Anyone? Man, you all are always so quiet. All right. Well, with that, if you don't have my cell phone number, please write it down. Feel free to text me. I am a night owl, so I'm usually up at crazy times of the evening. That is my office number. Most of you already have my email now, but if you don't have my cell phone, please feel free to contact me as needed, and I will try to answer any question that you may have. And if I don't know the answer, I will do my darndest to find it for you. Last thing I always say, I like to start it, I like to end it. Thank you for everything that you do for our students in our system. Please keep those that are in need in your thoughts and prayers. And as we receive information on ways to assist students, I will make sure that you have that information. And again, I want to apologize for the memo not making it to your desk sooner. I immediately assumed that they included you all on that particular listserv, so I apologize for that memo not getting to you in a quicker fashion, and so please forgive me. But thank you for all the work that you are doing for our students. If you're coming to conference, please travel safely, and as you go on through the rest of your week, may you be blessed and remain positive. Have a good day. And